Welcome back to the Oulton Park circuit in the northwest of England and the first of two decisive races in this year's Green Flag MSA British Touring Car Championship. James Thompson's sixth pole position confirms him as the king of qualifying. But Anthony Reid has grabbed MG's first front row slot based on times. Matt Neal lines up third and is joined on row 2 by points rival Paul O'Neill. Ivan Muller lines up fifth and Morrison's Honda is next. Tom Chilton is suffering tonsillitis, while Warren Hughes is just 2 points ahead of teammate Colin Turkington, who lines up on the row behind. Hilton Independent points leader Rob Collard lines up 10th and fastest in class. 2002 Independent champion Dan Eves is 11th. Phil Bennett in the Proton is 12th on the grid from teammate David Leslie, and the improving Paul Wallace in an Astra Coupe. Gareth Howell and Carl Breeze are together on row 8, but James Kay had problems and starts 17th. Danny Buxton is last of the Tourers, while new champion Luke Hines has taken his 7th pole of the season in production and is backed up by teammate Alan Blenko. Michael Bentwood is only 3 points behind Blenko and well placed here. Tom Boardman's next. Mark Fullerlove is 5th in class, while Jay Wheels in the Team Varta Peugeot and Richard Marsh in the Honda Accord complete the grid after a bent valve has forced Jason Hughes to withdraw the Kart World Nissan. And Jim Edwards has endured engine problems and will not be out to play. Right, here we go then. All set. Is Ivan Muller going to wrap up the title in this race? He starts in the third row. James Thompson starts from pole position with it all to do. And away we go. Thompson gets off the line pretty well. So does Anthony Reid. But that's a great start from the Honda of Alan Morrison. Morrison absolutely charging from the third row of the grid. And he's up into second place ahead of his teammate Matt Neal and ahead of Anthony Reid.
James Thompson will be delighted to have got off the grid and into that first corner first. He's so desperate to convert that pole position into a win. But you're right, Alan Morrison, demon starter, third row of the grid in front of his teammate Matt Neal.
So Morrison, we've seen him so often. Oh, and now there's another Honda. That's Tom Chilton bouncing over the grass. It almost went up on the end, but he's managed to gather it back together. Hopefully he can rejoin the tarmac. Up front, the battle between James Thompson and Alan Morrison, with Matt Neal coming under some pretty serious pressure from Anthony Reid. Let's look back at the start.
Well, once again, Morrison gets the rev, the clutch and the throttle absolutely perfect and just picks up the traction, storms through the second row, cuts in front of Matt here and gets a brilliant drive out of that first corner.
A masterclass in how to get a car off the line. Let's take another look back at what happened to Tom Chilton. Round the outside at Cascades he went and ran out of room.
Well, Tom's carried far too much speed into the corner, got out onto the grass, and he was so lucky that car didn't turn turtle over the front.
So James Thompson leads, second place for Alan Morrison, third is Matt Neal under pressure from Anthony Reid. The rest of them coming through. Rob Collard is leading in the independence class. That's exactly what he needs at the moment. But up front it is James Thompson doing what he's required to do. Ivan Muller though in 5th place, that's all he needs. As Anthony Reid there goes on the attack.
Well, Anthony's the last burst you want to your mirrors. We've seen how aggressive he is this year. Matt Neal will be desperate to do well in this final meeting, as will everybody. But fortunately, we've not had any crashing so far. But Reid on the outside, he'll try and cut back. He's dragged Matt Neal wide, and that's a perfect switchback. Good move by Anthony.
So can he now make sure of this place? Because Matt Neal is still there. He's still on the outside. First place is Thompson. Oh, we've got a couple of cars off. Fullerlove and Jay Wheels have got off together, and Tom Chilton joins them in the gravel trap. So we've got a number of cars off on the outside of Cascades, and Reid has got that third place. So Matt Neal wasn't able to hold him off. So Neal back down to 4th. Ivan Muller in that vital 5th spot, which is what he needs, remember, to wrap up the championship. Paul O'Neill is behind him.
Everybody with their own agenda at these last races, desperate to do well. That's Tom Chilton climbing out of the car. He's actually been very ill this weekend with tonsillitis. He doesn't look too bad there, but he's really been struggling behind the wheel of the car and being taken away there by Paul Trafford, the Toka doctor.
Yes, and that's brought the safety car out because a number of cars off in that gravel trap. So everyone's going to have to slow down and follow the safety car as the marshals endeavour to get them out of the way. Thompson, therefore, just leads behind the safety car at the moment, with Alan Morrison directly behind, and then it's Anthony Reid and Matt Neal. And for the Honda team, they've seen Chilton go out, but they've also seen Matt Neal and Alan Morrison in good shape. With David Leslie in the pits, they've had a misfire on this car. They just can't seem to cure it.
No, I think it's the same problem they've had throughout practice, that they've basically run out of engines. I think they know what the problem is, but there's no way they can fix it here at the circuit.
So problems, and problems for Paul O'Neill as well. And remember, the battle for third place in the championship is at a crucial stage, and the car's just stopped on the grass. Looks as though he's not going any further. This is a big opportunity for Matt Neal, who currently runs in 4th place, to secure that third place in the championship. But what's this man feeling right now? Ivan Muller ideally placed to take the title. He's just got to keep his head, not make any mistakes, and hope that nobody takes him off. We're all set for the restart. The safety car comes into the pits, and it's James Thompson that leads them away once more. Alan Morrison goes on the attack, and then Matt Neal also attacking for third place with Anthony Reid. And Alan Morrison hasn't given up his hopes of his first win of the season.
No, but interestingly, Ivan Muller dropped back in 5th place. I think he wanted to create a little bit of space for himself to race in, didn't want to get drawn into any incident up front. But look at this battle in production. Tom Boardman leading from Michael Bentwood and the 2 Barwell cars.
Yeah, this is a great race. Boardman just snatching the lead there from the BMW of Michael Bentwood. And as you say, we've then got Luke Hines, who's the new champion, of course. He's already wrapped up the title with his own teammate, Alan Blenko, just behind. The top 4 in production, all together on track, and they're heading down towards the island hairpin. And here goes Luke Hines down the inside of the BMW, locks everything up. Oh, Bentwood goes wide, and that allows Alan Blenko to come through.
Well, that's a perfect opportunity for Blenko, and this is just what he wants. Don't forget, he's desperate to get second in the championship. But I don't think that was an intentional manoeuvre. Luke Hines just locked up and dragged the BMW wide.
Now look at this battle for third place. Matt Neal wants it back from Anthony Reid. Reid, though, on the inside at Lodge Corner, holds the position at the moment, and Matt Neal can't do anything about it as yet. Then there's that gap back to Ivan Muller, as you said. Muller's doing just enough, and off, and that's Bentwood and Hines, and they've made contact. Something else has happened there at Druids.
Well, this is the fastest corner on the track, and Bentwood has just tagged the back of Luke Hines' car. A really dangerous pace for contact, but fortunately they get away without any serious damage. But that's obviously clearly a rush of blood to the head as Matt Neal comes into the pits.
So, early pit stop, and Matt Neal, just made it in then in time, getting on the brakes at the last possible moment. And the Honda Racing crew go to work. Brand new tyres, as you can see, stickers on the front there. Good clean stop. He gets underway once again. Colin Turkington's in the pits at the same time. So is Phil Bennett. And so is the independent runner Paul Wallace. There's Wallace. They're getting him out cleanly as well. So everybody seemed to have a pretty good stop. And here comes Matt Neal to rejoin.
Yeah, at this stage of the year, all the teams really well drilled in their pit stops and averaging 5.5, 6 seconds for a good stop. But look at this. Tom Boardman's past Matt Neal coming out of the pits, and this is the last thing Matt wants. He doesn't want the slower production class cars in front of him. He wants to pass him straight away, but he's still on his cold tyres.
Well, Tom Boardman's, of course, in a massive battle with Alan Blenko, so he doesn't want to give any ground, and Matt Neal's locked up, and he's gone straight on down at the island hairpin. He could just make it round, I think, but this is going to lose him a great deal of time.
Yeah, as you can see, all the time he's lost, but that's real just frustration. Here we see a replay. There's a little crest in the road there. The car goes light, and Matt just hasn't got enough grip on his cold front tyres to stop that Honda.
So, Tom Boardman managed to make it through the corner, still chased by Alan Blenko and Colin Turkington. Into the pits comes Anthony Reid. Now, remember, he was running in third place before the pit stops were started to be made. Matt Neal's already made his pit stop. Let's hope it's a clean one. It's not. It's a slow stop.
Oh, this is desperately bad luck. It's so difficult. All the teams using the same guns, the same wheels, the same wheel nuts. They're heavy, they're not like Formula One, and it is very difficult to get it right every time.
So where will Anthony Reid rejoin? He was battling with Matt Neal. Turkington comes through, the 2 production class cars, and then Matt Neal. Well, Matt Neal, as we saw, had problems. He lost time down at the hairpin, and ironically, Reid's come out after his pit stop problems just ahead of Matt Neal.
Absolutely, but roles reversed this time. It's Matt Neal on the hot tyres, but he's still got that man Tom Boardman fighting very hard in the production class. Matt's going to get past him cleanly here, and he'll really want to get past Anthony Reid. He's seen him come out of the pits. He knows he's vulnerable. But Anthony's defending very hard on the inside. That is so close.
Wonderful, just touching on the exit of the hairpin there. And you can see that Honda climbing all over the back of the MG, but he can't quite find a way through yet. Down towards the Nickelbrook chicane, and Matt Neal's gone for it. Down the inside, can he turn in? Yes, he can. And he takes the place from Anthony Reid.
Anthony thought he had it covered. He drove all the way down the right-hand side of the track, but just left half a sniff on the brakes, and Matt was down there.
So James Thompson comes in from the lead of this race, making a slightly later stop than some of the others. Warren Hughes also into the pits, just behind, as you can see, in the MG. So a battle in the pit lane between the respective teams. Once again, VX Racing incredibly rapid, out in 5 3/4 seconds, 6.5 seconds for Warren Hughes.
fractions of a second, but it all equates to time lost on the track. You know, that's 20 yards or so. And look at these two Astras battling in the independents with James Kay right up behind in his Honda.
Yeah, Carl Breeze at the head of this group from Paul Wallace and James Kay. Gareth Howell is now leading in the independents class in this race. But what a dice we're watching here. Very important for both Carl Breeze and James Kay to get a decent result, to keep the pressure on Collard, and Kay down the inside of Paul Wallace just somehow managed to sneak through.
This new chicane at Knickerbrook's producing some great overtaking and safe overtaking. It's really added a lot to the circuit, much better than the old one.
Ivan Muller is in. He's playing it fairly cautiously at the moment. He gets a good, clean pit stop. That's what he needs. And let's see where this brings him back out. Because, of course, we've seen one or two drivers have problems either on their pit stops or on their outlap. And I think Muller would have moved up to third place as a result of that. In the pits is Danny Buxton, and it's a slow stop for the Peugeot driver. Let's take a look at what's happened. Morrison still hasn't been into the pits for his stop. Gareth Howell leading in the independents class. They're all still a bit mixed up with the pit stops, but Matt Neal between the two MGs there of Colin Turkington and Anthony Reid.
Turkington just a little bit wide on the brakes, and that's let Matt Neal get inside, and that man Anthony Reid, never backwards in coming forward, he's stuffed his nose inside to Colin Turkington on the run down to Knickerbrook.
So let's see whether he holds on to it. Anthony Reid there on the inside with the green windscreen stripe. He's just ahead of his own teammate Colin Turkington. We're looking back at the youngster who's had such a good run. Oh, contact between Reid and Matt Neal. Neal's completely sideways. Reid goes to the inside. Turkington goes to the outside. Reid's on the grass. Turkington almost on the grass as well. Side by side up the hill, and somehow they're still all there.
Well, that was really naughty by Anthony Reid. There was no way in the world he was going to get past Matt on the exit of that chicane, and he just tagged him. He knew he was going to put him sideways, and now Matt's all over the grass again. That's going to give the MGs another opportunity. But finally into the pits comes Morrison, and Matt Neal's back down behind these MGs.
This is the battle for fifth place, and it is raging as they come out of Lodge Corner and up the hill once again. Reid now into fifth. Turkington on the right as we look at it there. Matt Neal squeezing past him once again. We'll have the inside line into Old Hall Corner, and he should be able to sneak ahead once more of Colin Turkington. But this is very, very close indeed, I have to say. Meanwhile, our race leader is James Thompson. Second place for Alan Morrison. Third place it is Ivan Muller, but he's under pressure from Warren Hughes here.
Yes, I think he'll be glad it's Warren Hughes and maybe not Anthony Reid. Warren's been driving very well this year, hasn't quite had the pace this weekend, but I don't think he'll do anything stupid and jeopardise Muller's. Unlike Anthony Reid, who's just put Neal on the grass. But in fairness, Matt, there's no way around the outside at Cascades.
Tough place to try and go past. Tom Boardman leading in the production class. Alan Blenko following him through. Second place for him at the moment, as Ivan Muller in third place. Another podium finish beckons, and that is certainly going to be enough for Muller to wrap up the title. But he still has to finish this race, and he's still got to contend with this challenge from Warren Hughes. Now James Thompson into Lodge. No real pressure from Alan Morrison. Big gap back to third place Muller. Then it's Hughes, and in the background you can see Anthony Reid.
Well, 11 years ago I was in this position, and believe me, this race cannot finish quick enough for Ivan Muller. It's a long, long race when you're trying to win a championship.
Rob Collard, we're on board with the man who leads in the independence points. He's second in this race at the moment, not to the man ahead of him. Phil Bennett's in a works car. He's second to Gareth Howell, but despite it being a works car, here goes Collard. He's trying to get past that Proton. Oh, look at that. You can see the Proton out of the passenger window of Collard's machine. They're still side by side, I reckon, as they come up over the hill. Yes, they are. But Collard, despite it being a works car, is on the attack.
Well, great racing by Rob Collard once again. He's shown all year he's not frightened to mix it with the works teams, and really that's been the secret of his success. He hasn't driven tactically, he's just raced as he knows his ability will allow him, and it's been fantastic to see. But Benny comes back at him.
Yeah, a little contact there, wasn't there, as they came down towards Cascades. Dan Eves is next in line, and in fact behind him is James Kay, and he's a major player. Now, this is what happened a moment ago. Tom Boardman went off in the production class, so that's the end of his chance of winning this race.
Well, that was mid-corner when the car suddenly turned left, so that can only be a suspension failure or steering failure of some kind, but very unlucky for Tom. He was leading the race under intense pressure.
James Thompson is leading the race in the overall touring category. He's coming up to lap Michael Benchwood in the BMW, but this is a perfect performance from what it looks like is the outgoing champion. Meanwhile, look at Rob Collard. He's still on the attack, but what's the problem for Matt Neal? Suddenly, Matt Neal's going rather slowly.
Matt Neal's dropped a long way back to be caught by Rob Collard, and he's taking a tight line. He's obviously got a problem, and if the rest of this pack pass him, he's not even going to get a point. And remember, Paul O'Neill is watching on the sidelines in their private battle for third place.
There's nothing Matt Neal can do. Look, arm up in exasperation, everyone pouring past him. James Kay gets through as well. And Matt Neal dropping down the order. It's the last lap. James Thompson is going to come through and take victory. He's done everything that he could do. He took pole position, he's taken the win, but he's not going to take the title. Alan Morrison finished second, but it's Muller. It's Muller. He's champion.
Well done, thanks. Hey, Van, you're the man, mate. You are the man.
The team absolutely delighted as well. And Ivan Muller's finally done it. He's wrapped up this title. There's still one race to go, but Ivan has achieved his goal.
He is the man. He's been the best driver this year. Matt Neal limping to the line with no points, but Ivan Muller definitely the deserving champion of 2003.
Matt Neal finishes down in 12. That puts him out of the points. So James Thompson's first win in 12 races, a classic display from the outgoing champion, but third for Muller means his points tally cannot be beaten. The MGs filled out the top 6, while Gareth Howell took his first win for Team Dynamics. Rob Collard is still only 3 points ahead of James Kay as the Yorkshireman grabbed third in class from Dan Eves on the line. Alan Blenco's taken a well-deserved first win in production. That's the 7th of the season for Barwell Motorsport. Well, it's all right for some. Anyway, here's the grid for the very last race of the 2003 Green Flag MSA British Touring Car Championship, and James Thompson now has to carry maximum ballast from pole. Morrison should be second, but is stranded in pit lane. Muller lines up third, lighter than before, and Warren Hughes is best placed MG, with his teammates Reed and Turkington behind. Gareth Howell is aiming for another independent race win, while Collard eyes the title. Phil Bennett is currently between Collard and his only rival, James Kay, in the Synchro Motorsport Honda Civic Type R. Dan Eves is 11th in the Team Halfords Peugeot. Matt Neal starts 12th, with Paul Wallace and Danny Buxton close in attendance. Carl Breeze will watch out for a charging Paul O'Neill, while Leslie's hoping his engine runs cleanly. Alan Blenco has his first production class pole, but Luke Hines and Michael Bentwood are likely to be quick off the mark. Richard Marsh is ahead of Team Varta colleagues Tom Boardman and Jay Wheels, while Mark Fullerlove and Jim Edwards complete the last ever production class lineup in the British Touring Car Championship. 25 laps of the island circuit here at Oulton Park will bring down the curtain on the 2003 series. So, all set to go then. The final race of 2003. James Thompson starting from pole position. Can he take a double win here at Oulton Park? Away they go then. And it's such a shame we haven't got Alan Morrison. He's stranded in the pits. Matt Neal making a good start up on the outside. With Morrison out, I suppose one of the Hondas has to start well. And he's the only Honda in there because Tom Chilton hasn't been able to make the start. And the 3 MGs fighting together as they head round through the first couple of corners. But Thompson's away well. Muller's in second, and just look at that cement dust.
Yeah, the cement dust down from Warren Hughes' car on the parade lap. Very overfilled with oil. But Thompson will be pleased. He's made 2 good starts from pole so far today. He'll want to carry that through to next year. But the man screaming down the outside is definitely Matt Neal. And look, watch him here. He goes round the outside of Collard, and Howell gets a great run into the first corner. Here we are on board. Collard's got a bit too much wheel spin. Matt just hooked it out. He borrowed a start out of Alan Morrison's book, ran all the way around the outside, and for once doesn't get collected. But look what he's got in front of him. 3 MGs. He spent the first race battling with them. Looks like he's set to do it again.
Well, that could make life very entertaining, but what great disappointment for Alan Morrison. That front row start that he'd earned, all gone with problems. It looks like some kind of steering problem they're reporting, so what a shame for Morrison. Across the line, Thompson leads. Look at this, Matt Neal's on the charge, almost in the pit wall as he gets past Warren Hughes.
That was close to disaster, but Matt knows he's got to strike early if he's got any chance. Remember, he's got a very lightweight car from no point, so he wants to do well. One man not going anywhere, Paul Wallace.
No, great shame for Paul. He's been going well this weekend. Meanwhile, we're on board with Paul O'Neill. It's desperately important to him to move up the order as quickly as possible and challenge Matt Neal for that third place in the championship. But at the moment, he's stuck behind Danny Buxton.
He didn't get the start, and now he's paying for it. All the time he's slipping back, and he's got traffic to deal with all in front and all having their own private battle. But up front, Muller, now the champion, he's released to race as hard as he wants to.
Yeah, and he's pushing James Thompson very hard, and Thompson, of course, now carrying maximum ballast. Meanwhile, Matt Neal still pushing on hard, now trying to get past Colin Turkington in another of the MGs. Is he going to have a go down the inside? Yes, he does. Into Lodge Corner, side by side once again, these two. And Matt Neal might have done enough, unless he gets squeezed over to the pit wall again, but he gets in front in time.
Matt would love to get up with the leaders here. It's the last race. Everybody remembers the last race of the season. It's what carries you through to the winter, so everybody trying to do well.
The production class cars come through. Tom Boardman leading that, hoping to make up for that suspension failure in race 1 when he was leading. Meanwhile, James Thompson has just enough of an advantage over Ivan Muller, but look at Anthony Reid now under attack from Matt Neal. Neal is getting past the MGs. Now it's Anthony Reid, and we've seen these two battling so hard. Meanwhile, Marvin Humphreys keeping an eye on what Paul O'Neill is doing in his progress, but again, O'Neill is now stuck behind another of the Peugeots. He's got past Buxton, but he's behind Dan Eves.
Yeah, the Peugeot's going a little bit better this weekend. They've made progress all throughout this year. They're finally starting to get a bit of pace, but that's not what Paul O'Neill wants to see. Fortunately, he's got a gap there on the island hairpin, got inside. You can see Eves on his outside. He should be clear, but that Peugeot hooks up quite well. Paul has the inside line for the hairpin, though, so he should get past. Back up the front, and a great dive still going on for third place. Matt Neal dives up the inside of Anthony Reid and makes it through, so he's up into third, just the two Vauxhalls in front.
Well, that was fantastic from Matt Neal, and now Colin Turkington's taking advantage of that and also moving past his more experienced teammate. There he is on the inside of Anthony Reid. Reid trying to hold him round the outside. Don't push each other off, boys. You're still teammates at the moment. You've got to work together. But Thompson's in trouble. Thompson's pulled off. What a shame, the man who was leading the race. Let's look back and see if we can work out what went wrong.
Well, listen to that engine. It's gone completely flat. I think the team discovered an engine problem just before the start of this race, and there wasn't time to change it. So perhaps James not surprised that it's gone bang after such a short time in this race, but not the way he'd like to finish the year.
What a pity. He was up front looking forward to a great battle with Muller for the last race of the championship. Meanwhile, Tom Boardman's under attack from Luke Hines. Hines down the inside in the blue Honda, and he sneaks through there, and Boardman's pushed back down to second position.
Tom Boardman probably frightened every time he goes on the brakes into that corner after that first race suspension failure, but he's fighting back on the outside. That Peugeot very quick in a straight line. The Team Varta have done a great job to get that repaired inside. And look how close he is, carrying good speed through the old hall, but the pit stop starting.
Yes, into the pits comes Matt Neal from second position, and it's an early stop once again. Let's see whether they get him away cleanly. Yes, they do. Not too much time lost. Meanwhile, Danny Buxton has a spin. It looks like a harmless spin. And now the pits are really beginning to get busy. A host of cars coming in, including James Kay, trying to chase Rob Collard in the points for the independent class, remember. But it is Gareth Howell doing another fine job in the independence class, leading that category as Tom Boardman has got back in front of Luke Hines. What a dice between these two. They've really been the stars of the production field this year, winning most of the races between them. Also into the pits, here is Ivan Muller. Now, can he win the final race of the year? It's going to be a battle between him and Matt Neal. Neal's already out there, but where is he? Let's have a look. Quick look, and there's Neal, just gone through. Matt Neal will end up in front of Ivan Muller. He's got ahead of the Frenchman, and that could be the crucial move of this race.
Matt's early pit stop has really paid off this time. He had clear track and was able to use it to put in the fast laps before Muller stopped. Now here's Gareth Howell. He's leading the independents. He won the first race. The Team Dynamics team have really got this car dialed in. He made room there for Paul O'Neill. But really, Gareth Howell's had a very strong last meeting in Team Dynamics Astra.
Yeah, it's good to see. He only came in for the latter part of the season. Locks up the brakes into Knickerbrook, but he's got it all under control. And Gareth Howell has been the class of the Hilton Independent Trophy racers here this weekend. Collard, of course, has to focus on getting points in the championship. But nonetheless, Gareth Howell really has got it together here at Oulton Park. But not together at all is James Kay.
Well, he's off in a very strange place at the exit of Knickerbrook there. Let's see what happens. turns in, over the curb, that just releases the rear and it just comes round on him. He tries to get on the power and save it, but momentum takes over there, James, I'm afraid, and he's spun out.
Well, Rob Collard might be aware of that mistake having been made. He is ahead of Kay on the road, but it would give him a sense of relief to know that Kay's made that mistake. Meanwhile, here comes Matt Neal, and ironically, he's up against Tom Boardman again. These two were together earlier on today. The MGs behind, Anthony Reid and Colin Turkington, well, they're still switching and swapping around. We're on board with Anthony Reid. Now, is Turkington go for the inside? Yes, he does. Brakes a little later, cuts down on the inside, and Reid cannot cut back on him, so Turkington takes third place.
Turkington's proved himself to be a patient and very astute racer this year, very clean as well. He's really come good the second half of the year, and he'll be looking forward to carrying on that improvement and that success to next year. A real hot property for the future.
Yes, very highly rated by many observers in this year's championship. Good to see. Meanwhile, up front it is Matt Neal. And Matt Neal has had a very strong season, of course, not quite the consistency from Honda Racing. Generally, they had a few problems in the start of the year, but he's going on to the final lap here at Oulton Park, and he's looking for win number 6 this season, and he's got a good margin, I have to say, over Ivan Muller in second place.
Well, assuming he wins, this will mean he matches Ivan Muller's win total of 6 races, and one can only say what might have been had he had slightly better reliability and better teamwork at the start of the year. But overall, a fantastic year for Matt Neal, the dominant driver in the Honda team, and Honda showing once again they're capable of winning at any track.
Yes, indeed. They've won at 6 of the 9 different circuits this year. It shows that this car is on the pace. Silverstone was an absolute disaster for Matt Neal. He led the first race and had electrical failure. He was third in the second race, had a drive shaft failure, and that really, I think, is probably the meeting that knocked his championship aspirations on the head. But he still comes back fighting every time out. He's always been a hard charger this year, and it does look as though he's going to take the last win of the season. Ivan Muller's running in a fairly comfortable second place at the moment, but he's not in a position to challenge.
No, comfortable race win, and we haven't seen the expected crash fest that so often accompanies the last touring car meeting of the year. Today it's been good, clean racing, and Matt Neal none better than him from 12th on the grid.
So Honda won the last race of the 2002 season with Alan Morrison at the wheel, and it looks as though they're going to win the last race of the 2003 championship with Matt Neal at the wheel. A perfectly driven race. He came from a long way down on the grid. He was 12th on the grid. A brilliant start. He fought his way through, and Matt Neal takes the final victory of the season. He beats the new champion Ivan Muller to second place, and Colin Turkington comes through to take another podium finish ahead of his teammate and great rival Anthony Reid. A great race to finish off this year's championship, certainly for Matt Neal. Tom Boardman comes through to win in the production class, another win to add to his tally this season. And here comes Rob Collard. Gareth Howell has won the class in this race. There's Gareth, brilliant job from him. But Collard has won the Hilton Independence Trophy, a superb achievement for Rob and for the whole team, and he must be absolutely over the moon. That's his wife Deborah. The emotion just a little bit too much at this stage after Rob Collard has finally wrapped up that Hilton Independent Trophy in the very last race of the season. Welcome back to Oulton Park, where Matt Neal is celebrating his win in the second race of the day, with his boys joining in. Matt Neal's 6th win of the year matches the tally of champion Muller, but the consistency wasn't quite there. Turkington earns his 4th podium in the last 6 races, and O'Neill came from 16th on the grid to finish in 5th. Gareth Howell's 2nd independent win of the weekend marks him out as a driver to watch, but Rob Collard's controlled drive has netted him the coveted Hilton Independent Cup. Tom Boardman's win in the last production car race before the class is phased out was hard fought and well deserved.
It's a fantastic way to end the season.
Oh, fantastic for me, for Honda Racing, you know, for Dunlop and everybody who are involved in the car and the effort. It's for all the boys, because the pit stop really won us that. They leapfrogged us in front of a van, and that was a one for the team.
It was a good battle with Jimmy at the beginning of the race. Unfortunately, he retired, and that's a shame because we could do a good fight. And then, with the pit stop, seeing Matt take the advantage, and unfortunately I couldn't do anything. You know, he was 40 kilo lighter than me.
We had a great battle there with Anthony. He was quicker than me in some corners and I was quicker than him in others. So yeah, it's great for me racing with guys like Anthony and Warren who have a field of experience, and I really have learned a lot off them this year, and I thank them for that.
With 21 race victories over the past 3 years, Ivan Muller is a worthy winner of the Green Flag MSA British Touring Car Championship. James Thompson will be pleased to have ended his season so strongly, and Matt Neal and the Honda Racing team will be delighted to have prevented a Vauxhall clean sweep in the Drivers' Championship. Ultimately, we had 7 different race winners in the touring class and some exciting new talent in the likes of Gavin Piper and Carl Breeze. But Ivan is the man. The former 7 times ice racing champion and British Formula 2 champion has added another major title to his collection.